Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Mansfield and Tana Pennington with the Wealth Puzzle. Tana, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's
Woohoo.
nice to be here.
So tell me, if you looked outside, what does the weather in Texas look like?
It's beautiful. Everything's
Beautiful.
green. Yes, it's sunny.
Yeah, water. It's cold here. So that's what's weird. Like yesterday, anyway, we 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 got our windows cleaned on our house on Saturday, a couple days ago. And then yesterday evening it rains.
Oh, yes, of course.
And so my wife was all mad. She's like, because we've lived in the house for 4 years. She's like, this is the first time you let me finally get the windows cleaned, and in 4 years, and then it rains within
That
hours.
is so awesome.
Good old Ventura weather. It was funny though. I was gone all week. Tana knows this, but our listeners don't. I was out in Kansas City. Woohoo! You know what's funny about Kansas City? Is Kansas City is split between two states. It's half in Missouri and half in Kansas. And so honestly, I don't even know where I was. I don't know what state I was in. But I went to Kansas City. I flew into Kansas City Airport. What is that? MCI or something. And I ended up in downtown Kansas City. I was at an investment conference with an investment group that I work with quite a bit for investment information. And it was cold. The morning I flew in last week on, what was it, Tuesday, supposedly it had snowed in the morning, and everyone was saying, oh, we came out and cars were covered in snow. When I got there in the evening, there was no snow. So it's fascinating how much different kinds of weather you get in different places.
Right. And you weren't prepared, I'm sure of it.
No, of course not. I'm like the California with like, this is my nicest Patagonia fleece. And it's just like, ugh. So what was worse, now that you bring that up, I wasn't even going there, is I got there the night before this stuff started. The meetings didn't start till 2 p.m. the next day. So I woke up and I had nothing to do. And so I walk outside, and a driver had told me about a barbecue place. And so I was all excited to go find this barbecue place, but it's like 9 a.m., And so then you Googling it, and it doesn't open till 11. So I got to figure out what to do for a while to be the first, crazy standing in line there. Hi, some barbecue. And anyway, so they have these in the cities. I don't know if you've seen this in the cities on every corner. It's kind of chaos. There's all these electric scooters laying everywhere.
Yes.
And so I figured out how to pay for and get on one of these electric scooters. And I probably rode like 10 miles. I mean, I was riding all over the place. I probably looked like just nuts. I'm like old and heavy and like flomping around on this scooter, almost getting hit by cars and stuff. But the worst part was it was freezing cold, right? So it was, it's cold there. And I got like I said, my nicest Patagonia fleece on kind of thing. So my hands are frozen and my head is frozen. And I must have looked like, you remember Dumb and Dumber? Like when they're riding that little scooter up to like Vail, wherever they were going. That's exactly what my experience was like. So,
that's a good visual.
Anyways, now that we've gotten past the useless part of the show, what was good though, I sat in 2 days worth of meetings. They had a lot of kind of big hitting presenters coming in, talking about a lot of different things. It was hugely economic based, obviously market based. But one of the takeaways that I thought was so interesting was there was a gentleman. Now, his name was Jeff Bush, not to be confused with Jed Bush. So don't think I was hanging out with old Jed. Jeff Bush. So he's the one that runs the Washington Update. So this guy was up on stage, highly intelligent. He spent about an hour and a half going through all of the politics, all of the things going on behind the scenes. It was really fascinating. But one of the things that he touched on is he had this huge section of Biden proposals. And I thought it was very interesting because obviously in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have to get in quite a bit into tax proposals, right? Everyone's seeing the news. Biden's changing the tax code. He's proposing to, at least. And we're going to talk about what that means for you. Let me plop this up on the screen because this guy, I sent him a desperate email asking for all of his PowerPoint slides, and he actually sent them to me.
That was very nice.
I was like, geez Louise, this guy's like a serious dude, and he had time for me. He made me feel special. But some of these I thought were really relevant because Tana, as everybody knows that works with our office, Tana is our heavy hitter when it comes to Medicare. Tana handles all of our Medicare planning. I don't know. Why am I describing it, Tana? Why don't you tell us how hard Medicare planning is?
Well, Medicare is very tricky because there's people that need to enroll in it right when they're 65 and other people that are allowed to delay it
Right.
when they're ready to retire. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of rules that people need to know about.
And they seem to always pull the rug out from under you, right? When
Right.
you get comfortable with like what the plans and all the letters mean,
Things
all of a
change.
sudden they change them.
Right. Indeed.
Well, we're going to change some more for you. So one of the Biden tax proposals that I thought was so fascinating is, kind of smack dab on here, Tana. It says Medicare eligibility lowered to age 60 instead of 65.
This is very interesting because I have several clients, many clients actually, that will call and say, I'm looking to retire. I want to enroll in Medicare. I'm 62. And it's like, nope, you can't enroll in Medicare. It's not even, you're not eligible until you're 65. So that makes a really hard decision for them to make, whether they continue to work just for the health insurance, or if they go out and buy their own health insurance in the market. It's very expensive during that time frame where you're just prior to eligible for Medicare.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. If you make just enough money as like a husband and wife and don't really get a subsidy through the Obamacare stuff, it's pricey.
Yeah, very.
It's big money. I mean, so you're right. We know a lot of people that simply work to 65, not because they want to. It's solely about health insurance.
Exactly.
So I thought that was fascinating. When this came up, that was like a smack in the face.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, bringing it to 60.
Very interesting.
So now I only have to work to 60 instead of 65. I love it. Obviously there's a lot of sub rules on what they're talking about, trying to, make premium subsidies. One of the things that I thought was interesting when they talk about Medicare is lower the family medical premiums to be a limit of 8.5% of their income. So instead of having, just standardized premiums for everybody, it would be kind of income based.
Yeah.
Which, for people that are in lower income situations that are retiring on fixed incomes, those can be very favorable plays.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was a fascinating step one update from old Washington or from Biden in Washington. This one's fascinating. Prescription drugs. So they're talking about allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. So that's kind of a problem right now, is drugs are very expensive. Tana, you can probably attest to this. Remember, Tana, if anyone remembers, her family used to own the college pharmacy here in Ventura, California.
Yes.
My first job was cleaning toilets there. So we go way back in the day. I actually might pick that up again as like a part-time gig on the side to make a few bucks to cover my health insurance.
No, you're not.
It's so expensive and I'm not 60. But obviously, you can probably say, right, isn't kind of figuring out prescription drug plans.
Yeah, what I'm finding is there's a lot of medications that are new to the market or don't have a, generic yet.
Yeah.
And so those are very expensive, but they're working very well for people. So doctors are wanting them to continue taking them, but when they switch over to Medicare from an employer group health plan, the Medicare prescription drug plans aren't covering them. And so it can be very expensive out of pocket for those particular medications. So this would be a good thing if they could negotiate the drug prices.
Get that stuff down. I mean, let's help these seniors out. You know what's funny about this is someone might say, well, wait a second, why can't Medicare negotiate drug prices currently? So who's ever heard of the Affordable Care Act? What is that really known as, Tana?
Well, yeah, it's just the marketplace where you buy health insurance, which
it's your Obamacare.
Right, which started through the Obama.
So was Biden around when Obamacare was created?
Yes.
He was, right? He was the VP of the old US. So he's kind of touted some level of ownership of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So all along, hey, we did Obamacare. We want to expand it. It's pretty awesome. You know what's funny, everybody? If you were bored enough to do 8 minutes of research online, you would find out the only reason Medicare cannot negotiate drug prices is because of legislation changes that were put inside of Obamacare.
Interesting.
So think about that as an ironic double standard.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's now his proposal. We're going to learn to negotiate. Well, you could pre-Obamacare.
Right.
So it's okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Whatever you say, boss. They want to do some preschool child care. They want to blah, 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 blah. We'll skip to the next page. Social Security. Now, this one's interesting, right? So they want to start changing Social Security a little bit. Some of the meaningful things, obviously, for people that decide to live a long time on this planet, which is an important thing, is look, after 20 years of receiving benefits, your monthly payments go up. They want to give you a big price increase because once again, the whole point of Social Security was based on statistics, right? So if the average person can take Social Security at 66, 67 as their full retirement age, well, by the time they hit 20 years of collecting that,
Yeah.
they've already lived past the life expectancy of the Social Security Administration.
Right.
So they're saying, let's make sure that these people have the resources to care for themselves.
Well, and this would really help out women because women tend to outlive their spouse. So this would be good.
Well, look at that bottom point. It says increase widow benefit by 20%.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
See, that's huge because remember, there's 2 checks coming in when there's 2 people married, right? And someone passes away, and in massive simplicity, the little check goes bye-bye, the big one remains. Well, that big one's never enough money anyways. And so they're talking about with that big one, that widow benefit, that survivor benefit, increasing it by 20%. That's huge. I mean, these are very fascinating rules. Maybe everyone's radar's going up and saying, sounds expensive. How are we going to pay for this?
That's the trick.
We're going to let Tana pay for it. That's literally what it says. The last slide of this. Tana's going to pay for it.
I need a raise.
Wait, what? The other one, minimum benefit increase to 125% of the federal poverty level. Now, I don't personally know what the federal poverty level is, but I know it's more than $500 a month. And we see a lot of people who had small earnings records or were teachers or whatever the deal was, where they do have these smaller Social Security amounts. And so they're talking about saying we need some kind of mandate of those lower end people who are lower earners. We need to make sure that their Social Security doesn't keep them below at least the poverty level.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So these
I like that.
Some fascinating changes. Very interesting. We don't need to get into the Secure Act. That's for another day. So we'll leave that. Obviously, he's talking about $15 an hour federal minimum wage. Tana would finally get a raise if that happens. See, well, Tana asked for the raise. It's right there. You're gonna get like a $9 raise if this goes through.
No, but this is cool about the 401k, that there's a possibility that even part-time employees will be able to contribute to a 401k. I really like that.
Well, they're talking. So remember, a lot of employers don't offer 401ks because it's hard to set up. It's hard to maintain. It costs a lot of money. And if you're a small business and you can't even afford to pay someone $15 an hour and you're going to have to, how the heck are you going to afford to set up and administrate a 401k? So the federal government is talking about creating their own federal 401k. So if you're an employee anywhere, you could contribute to a federal 401k. The logistics of it, how it's going to work, I don't know. But it's kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah.
It won't be pleasant for the payroll person who then has to figure out how to send the money over there. But hey, who cares about them?
They can outsource it. There's some great companies out there that can take care of all of that.
Then it costs more money, Tana. That's the problem. Everything costs money.
I know. That's true.
They're talking about getting rid of student debt. So student debt, 44 million Americans have over $1.5 trillion of student debt at the moment. 20% are behind on payments.
Wow, that's
big. Weird. Maybe they should have used their stimulus checks to make those payments.
I agree.
Oh, snap. It's ironic.
Wouldn't be as fun.
How are you behind on payments if no payments are due right now?
Well,
the whole government put all student loans in deferment until like the end of this year. No, it's September of this year. But there's some confusion there, right? Look at that. 2-year colleges, community colleges should be debt-free. So whatever that means. And then state and private colleges, tuition should be free if a family makes under 125 grand. Well, geez, you know how much I'll be making when my kids go to college? 124 grand.
Right? That's strategic.
Jeez. Look, I get both sides of these arguments.
Oh, I love it.
And it's just, it's kind of exhausting. Where do you even go with this? I don't even know. You got to have some skin in the game in life. It doesn't mean that college has to be free, because otherwise it's just an extension of high school. And so all the people say, I don't know what the heck I want to do. I'm just going to go hang out in college for 6 years and someone else will pay for it. I don't love that idea.
No,
those kind of people should be joining the military.
Right.
I can say that because I was in the military. And that's what you do when you have no direction, is you go serve your country and then you get them to pay for your college for all your hard work and effort. Isn't that fascinating? It's called the GI Bill. So instead, they're saying, nah, we don't need any incentives for people to serve this country. We'll just make it free. And that way, if you don't know what to do when you get out of high school, you just go hang out in college for 6 years. It's free.
It's free.
And then you can tell your parents, no, I don't need a job because I'm in college. It's free.
Yeah, but there's a time limit on that too, though, right?
With your parents?
No, with the GI Bill.
Me. Well, no, the GI Bill can be used whenever you want, but like if you go serve the military for a measly 2 years, you still get like something like 50 grand or something from the GI Bill
fantastic.
That you can use for all of your tuitions and things.
But I was thinking there was a time limit on when you can use it. Like
no,
you'd have to use it up. Oh, okay.
You can use it over your whole lifetime.
Okay,
so if it takes you 30 years to get through college, you can bleed it out of there. Whoops, what I scrolled my finger. That was too much. Let's see. They're also saying that student loans should be able to be discharged from bankruptcy. So that currently that's not a law. You can't get rid of them in bankruptcy. So
I don't think they should allow that. That would be too easy.
Be an American.
Easy. We need that responsibility.
No,
to get it paid.
No responsibility.
Yeah, that's
no responsibility.
I don't like that.
Obviously they're talking about the new economic plans. They want to obviously do infrastructure plans, build roads. It's kind of confusing. We were talking about it a couple weeks ago. I mean, there's what people think is infrastructure, and then there's other things that aren't, improving senior programs and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. Well, here it is. So infrastructure, clean water, high-speed rails. Those are scary. I saw something on the news the other day that said they go like 300 miles an hour.
Oh, the high speed ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, what happens if there's like a gopher sitting on the track one day? Does this thing just basically implode? Just instantly?
Incinerate.
It's just gone. It's just like went into another dimension.
Time travel.
It's crazy. Grace is sitting here, everybody, shaking her head at me. So I'm feeling embarrassed at the moment. New Green Deal. So obviously the country wants to go net zero carbon emissions by 2050, 100% clean energy by 2035. Boy, that's worth Googling, right? What does that even mean? If your car isn't considered clean energy in 14 years, probably sooner than that. What is your my mother-in-law drives a Nissan Altima. The thing has a 4-cylinder motor. It cruises. I've driven it. It's real peppy. Thing gets like 45 miles to the gallon.
Awesome.
On the freeway. I mean, you're like, what? It's almost not even using gas.
If she wants to sell it, let me know, because I have another kid that's going to be driving soon. So that's a good car for
it's
first-time driver.
The kids aren't going to take care of a black car. I don't know if I'd go that route. But you think about that. You got to really kind of start digging into these things. What if in the next 5 years you were thinking, I'm probably getting due for a new car. Well, geez, if you buy one of these, straight out of hell gas cars, that's my new opinion of them, right? The demons rose them up onto this earth to destroy it. What happens? What is your car worth in 2035?
Wow,
is it worth zero? Point. Will they even serve you gas at the corner gas station anymore? Yeah, I don't know. These are some fascinating things of some changes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I read something too that said, like, if we went through the whole new Green Deal thing and changed everything like we're trying to do, by like the end of the century, the temperature would have gone down like 1/8%. And you're like,
that's not enough.
That's nice. That's good.
For all that work, that's not enough.
Well, we'll see what happens. Your husband's a pilot. What happens to planes?
Yeah.
Fly on jet fuel. They're going to be electric. They're it's gonna have literally the propellers are gonna be more like windmills.
Well, not only are they gonna be electric, but they might not even need the pilots inside them, because they'll be more like a drone, and that's
obsolete.
Yeah, his job could go away.
Oh my gosh, you better get a lot of life insurance on him, because there's only one way for him to go at this point. Who knows? A lot of people are going to have a hard time adopting those kinds of attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
They told us years ago that the quote unquote robo advisor would destroy the financial planning industry because a computer could build a portfolio. And it turned out that maybe that's true in some scenarios, but it doesn't have the ability to actually, on an emotional level, discuss
Right.
things with you and help you out. And so it kind of petered out as a
Yeah.
threat. Individual taxes, obviously, we should probably tread lightly on here. I can get into this. This is probably its own show in entirety. The couple big points that I would want to make that are on here, and like I said, maybe we'll pull this slide up and get into it again next week.
Okay.
But estate taxes, this is fascinating. Some of the things that they're talking about. And honestly, Tana, you and I, we've done shows on this before. I think in the fall we did a big piece, about taxes, but they're talking about making the estate tax exemption a lot lower. So right now, an individual can pass over $11 million without any estate taxes. That's a lot, right? So now you're talking about some rich folk, obviously not the people we hanging out with, but he's talking about bringing that level down to 3.5 million. Now, granted, a lot of people will say 3.5 million, that's a lot of money, but honestly, depending on your situation, it's not, especially as the snowball is, if you're in Ventura County and you happen to own, a house and a couple rentals or something, geez, you're already right there somewhere. And basically what happens is if you have more assets over whatever that estate tax limit is, at the moment, it's a 40% tax on every dollar. If your boy Sanders gets involved, it could be a lot more. He wants to make a progressive tax rate that starts at 45%, that goes to 50 up to 65% for the heavy hitters. The other thing too that is fascinating is whether you have millions of dollars or not, they want to get rid of stepped up basis. This affects everybody. This affects everybody. If your mama bought a house for 50 grand down in the Keys and she wants to sell it for $1 million right now, or excuse me, she passes away and gives it to you and it's worth $1 million, you inherit it tax free. If these rules get kicked into place that they're talking about, that gain between 50,000 and $1 million would suddenly be taxable to you. And depending on the way they're talking about it, I would imagine you're looking at in the neighborhood of a $300,000 or $400,000 tax liability on that asset that never existed before.
Right.
So I think what we should do, Tana, is obviously next week, let's go through taxes in better detail with all the proposals. Let's maybe make we'll create a couple different like visual scenarios and say, hey, look at this stock, if it appreciated and all these things so that you guys can understand that you get what you vote for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I shouldn't have said that. That wasn't nice.
And I agreed.
Yeah. So who's worse? Is it me?
I don't know.
Really, it's your fault. You were supposed to steer me to the right direction.
I'm sorry.
So in any case, that's probably good for the moment. This was kind of a to the point show. Like I said, we had a good trip last week. We learned a lot of things, a lot of insight on the stock market. We'll be sharing that stuff with you guys over the coming weeks. We're going to hammer this tax stuff pretty hard because honestly, the ball seems to be rolling on this. They want to get going on it because they want to use these things to pay for the infrastructure bills, which we'll also get into the fact that even if you did all this, it ain't even going to dent what the government's spending. So anyways, Tana, as always,
yes,
thanks for joining the party.
Thank you.
This was a good show. So if anyone has any questions, any concerns, if you have any topics you would like us to cover, give our office a call, 805-500-7035. You can visit our main website, thelindgroup.com. Lind is Lynd. But yeah, reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking. And obviously, if you have further questions about the content we're talking about, set up a complimentary consultation. Tana and I would be happy to talk to you and help guide your decisions to make sure that you're in a good spot too. So anyways, everyone have a great week, and we will be back same time, same place next week.